What's up, everybody? Jed Johnson here from DieselCrew.com. Of course, you know they call me Napalm. And today I'm going to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. It is Nuclear November, another one of the most recent products I've released that you may not have heard about because I constantly forget about talking about my new products here on YouTube because I suck at marketing. This is the sponsor of the video today because I designed Nuclear November this year to help people with their back injuries. So not only is it training your nucleus, your abdominals, your core, but it's doing it in a way that will help you come back from back injuries. This is based on the movements that I did when I experienced the worst back injury of my life in 2016. And today I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, specifically how I came back from that back injury. So how did the back injury take place? There was an online challenge, fat grips handles on a trap bar for a max deadlift. And I had gotten in the habit of really overarching my lumbar spine. And on basically all my deadlift variations. And I hit 400 something for a single. And when I did that, I did this overarching. So I was really arching my lumbar spine really, really hard. And I failed to lift and something zapped me right in the lower back and I fell in a heap to the floor. This injury was so bad. Well, I finished the workout and then I went on to steel bending because I was preparing for a grip contest that actually had steel bending in it. I did the steel bending, but it was so bad I had to crawl out of the gym when I was done, crawl up the steps. I couldn't pick my feet up. I could walk around, but I couldn't pick my feet up the steps. I had to crawl up the steps, and I ended up on the couch that night and laid there for the better part of a week, as I recall. I honestly was afraid that my heavy lifting career was done. I didn't lift. That was October of 2018. I didn't do much lifting to speak of for the whole rest of the year. Ended up going to the chiropractor a bunch of times. It was a bad time. It was a bad time. There was even a day where no one was around. My daughter was very young still. I had to pick her up and carry her down to the car to put her into the back seat. It was an absolute nightmare to do stuff like this, but it had to be done because I didn't want to make my daughter walk down to the car because I was going to the gym for a very early class. So I might be off on that because I didn't have my gym till 2018. But I do recall that for some reason I had to carry her to the car. I had no help. And guys, to say that I was worried is an understatement. I really thought I would never lift heavy again. So consequently, for the better part of 2 years or more, I did no barbell deadlift of any sort. I did no trap bar deadlift. I did no barbell squats. I totally avoided those things. And my lifts on those were so crappy that I didn't put any videos up. And of course, the YouTube trolls were like, "Oh, you skipped leg day, blah, 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 blah." Whatever, bro. But now that I've laid that story out and you understand how grave it was, I want to tell you how I came back. Because obviously, I'm back to deadlifting heavy. My next ME workout off the floor will be 6 plates aside, 585 pounds. And I'm stronger on deadlift than I ever have been my whole entire life. So what did I do? I started incorporating static holds for the core in my training multiple times a week. So I started out with very simple stuff like bird dogs and dead bugs, which are somewhat dynamic, but for the most part, they're static. And I'll have links for all these videos in the description box below. But actually, no, I won't, because they're in Nuclear November. So if you want to see these, you can either search them on YouTube or buy the product. Eventually, I felt confident enough to start doing some planks, and to hold a plank for 30 seconds was absolutely impossible. My lower back had become so weak from this injury, the muscles were not able to do anything. So I was shaking like a leaf on a tree in a tornado, just trying to get 30 seconds in a regular 2-arm, 4-arm plank. Eventually, those became easier, and I started working on side planks, which were equally as crazy hard to perform. And I also started working in hollow holds. So all of these are what's called core static holds. So your abdomen is maintaining one position throughout the duration of the set. And you can start with as short as 10 seconds, because for some people that will be very, very hard, especially after coming off of a bad injury. Eventually ditched the planks. They became so easy that I just stopped doing them. I don't even have my lifters do regular planks anymore. I think it's a waste of time. I usually graduate them right to side planks, which is much harder, and I think you get better results from. So there's no planks in Nuclear November. Eventually, I would start adding weight to side planks with chains, and that's when I really started to feel like, damn, I think I'm getting strong again. Eventually, I worked up to body weight reverse hyper, so I would just lean against my hyperextension bench this way and pick both legs up at the same time, doing just a completely unloaded reverse hyper. I also had a reverse hyper attachment that fit into my cage, and I started using that. And this thing I'm leaning on here is an actual reverse hyper machine, because I liked that reverse hyper attachment for the cage so much that I wanted to try to find one of these at a good price, and I found one. So the injury took place in 2016. By 2018, I had this gym, and I was working with some very heavy dudes. One of them was Evan, who I interviewed on Napalm Live in the last month. And one day they challenged me to work in with them. And I don't remember the weight. I honestly have no idea, but I took a few pulls on trap bar deadlifts. And a lot of people talk about how the trap bar is useless, but I'll tell you, it's not useless when you have no confidence to pull a deadlift, and you got to start somewhere. I definitely credit the trap bar with getting my confidence back for lifting decent weight. It wasn't long before I was doing 450 plus and 500 pounds on the trap bar. Now, I do want to say that during this time, I was doing heavy grip lifts with 2 hands, especially things like the axle. I was doing them all sumo, because I feel that that is a little bit safer position for me, or that it was a little bit safer position for me, given the condition of my spine and the disc issues that I had. But at that time, I don't think I was able to pull 400 pounds on the axle, so everything was very sub-maximal to what my barbell deadlift would have been, regardless of whether it was sumo or conventional. I also eventually worked in goblet squats, eventually working up to goblet squats with the shot loadable dumbbell that weighs 125 and my inch dumbbells that are all in the neighborhood of 170 pounds. But like I said, in 2018, I started working trap bar deadlifts into the program again. In 2020, I started doing double overhand deadlifts during the lockdown period. I had some guys that were coming to the house to train, and they were deadlifting, and again, it's one of those They challenged me to do something, so I gave it a try. So I started doing double overhand deadlifts on the regular, and I got up to 545 or something like that for double overhand deadlifts, something in that neighborhood. And then in 2023, I began doing conjugate training by following the power building program from Matt Wenning. And I started experimenting with that, and I talked about the conjugate program in the very first video of the 31 Days of QnA series. So that's really how I progressed. That's how I built myself back. That's how I came back from that injury. And people who maybe haven't watched my videos in years, they see me deadlifting 500 plus pounds, they're like, wow, I thought you were done. I remember a video from several years ago where you were talking about being injured. And yeah, it's true. I was hurt really bad. I thought I was done, and I built myself back. So it can be done. Now, during this time, I don't think I got any x-rays or MRIs, didn't go to any therapy, don't recall going to the doctor. I may have, but really the most I did was chiropractic adjustments where they have a lumbar traction device and a rolling table, and it helped me how I needed to. Other than that, I just used my experience, my education, and the expertise of my buddy Luke Raymond to kind of just step my toe in the water every so often and work my way back up towards heavy lifting. And of course, I definitely ditched that overarching lumbar spine position on deadlifts, and still to this day I am always trying to activate my lats more, maintain a neutral spine, and stay away from what caused this injury in the first place, which was essentially a technique error and overarching the lumbar spine. So if you're in the habit of overarching the lumbar spine, I would encourage you to check out videos about how to keep a more neutral spine for the lumbar region, and how to activate the lats in order to protect yourself better, because technique is extremely important. But you're never going to hear me say not to do trap bar. You've got to approach that just like any other multi-joint lift and be safe about it in order to get good, healthy, safe results. And if you have injuries, you can work through them, but it's going to take time. I was in no rush, guys. Like I said, I thought I was done. I just focused on building my core to be stable. Along the way, I developed the core strength to be able to do dragon flags. That took place in, I think that was 2017 or early 2018, before I owned the gym. And the only reason why I know that is because the videos where I first started doing them were in my old garage gym that I no longer have. So that's the timeline. I hope that this inspires you, if you're dealing with back injuries, to start moving inch by inch, step by step forward over the course of the next days, weeks, and months. And if you need something to help you strengthen your back, then go to the description box and look for the link for Nuclear November. And while you're there, you'll be able to see other links to things such as the playlist for the 2024 31 Days of QnA, and other ways that you can support the channel through those links in the description, in the description box. So thanks for watching. Give it one of these. Be sure to subscribe. Leave your questions in the comments section below, and tell me how awesome I am in the comments section below as well. Take care.